You're listening to CFRN, a community of believers who trade for a living. To learn more about who we are, what we do, and how we do it, call toll-free 1-866-928-3310, and we'll send you out a no-obligation information kit absolutely free. 866-928-3310. The CFRN Emini Futures Cast is now on Stitcher. Listen to us on your iPhone, Android phones, BlackBerry, and WebOS phone. Stitcher is smart radio for your phone. Find it in your app store or at Stitcher.com. Stitcher Smart Radio, the smarter way to listen to radio.
Are you ready, Steve? Andy? Yeah! Bert? Well, all right, fellas. Let's go!
You're listening to CFRN, the Christian Financial Radio Network.
Today's broadcast is brought to you by Audible. Get a free audiobook download at www.audibletrial.com/CFRN. Over 85,000 titles. Choose from mystery, romance, religion, science, technology, business, New York Times bestsellers, even children's books. You name it, Audible has it. With 85,000 titles to choose from, you're sure to find the perfect audiobook for yourself or to give as a gift, and it's absolutely free. Just point your browser to audibletrial.com/CFRN. That's audibletrial.com/CFRN, and become a part of the audiobook revolution by downloading your free audiobook today. audibletrial.com/CFRN.
Hey, trader, want to get rich quick? Well, good luck with that. If, on the other hand, you actually want to learn how to trade, the place to be is www.CFRN.net. Tune in Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. Eastern for our daily devotional, and then spend the next 3 hours learning how it's done from professional traders who actually trade for a living. That's www.CFRN.net. Every trading day from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern. CFRN, a community of believers who trade for a living.
Good afternoon, traders, and welcome back to the CFRN Emini Futures Cast. This is the daily broadcast of Indeterminate Length, where we discuss all things Emini, along with some really big ideas on the finer points of trading gold, bonds, crude, sugar, the euro, and even T-bills. Joining us today from our studios in Boston, Mr. Michael Borth. From our trading desk in Chicago, Mr. Burton Schlichter. Now, to get things started, let's go to our host and founder in Studio A, overlooking Park. Here's Dwayne.
Good afternoon. Welcome back. Today's Tuesday, 14th day of April, 2020. Thanks so much for joining us, whoever you are, wherever you are. We're just glad to have you right here, right now. If you can't see the screen I have up, go to our homepage at CFRN.net. On the right-hand side of the page, click the big microphone, follow the instructions. You'll be registered in about 30 seconds, and that will give you one-click access to the show each and every day. Now, on the days you're out of the office, away from the desktop, point any internet-connected browser to CFRN.net/live. There you'll find a live, real-time simulcast of the show as it unfolds. You'll also find us streaming live during the show on YouTube, on Facebook, and Twitter. Let's open with a word of prayer. Father, we thank you for your many blessings. It seems that we've turned a very important corner, and we give you all thanks for that. But it also seems in some areas, in the media, there's still seeds of uncertainty. So many people who need prayers. So today, corporately together, we pray for everyone whose health is compromised by this virus and other health issues. Today, we pray corporately for those who suffer from the economic impact of this virus. So many industries, from travel, manufacturing, hospitality, energy, very, very few industries have remained untouched. We pray today for healthcare workers, for first responders, for other public servants who put themselves in harm's way for us. And as your word teaches us, we pray for our leaders, whether we agree with them or not. No man is put in power without your hand being in it. So I encourage everyone today, pray for your leaders. And I'm talking leaders on every level, country, state, city. If you live in a HOA, those people too. Because we're all working together to help manage this challenge. We're all on the same team. Sometimes we forget that, God. It can be overwhelming, but your word tells us over and over again not to be afraid. In fact, the most quoted scripture, or the scripture written the most times in your word, says, fear not. Turn the page and there it is again. Fear not. So God, we ask you to show us, to help us to better understand how to trust in you. As I examine my own heart, help me to turn away from concern with myself. Help me turn my heart, my hands, and my prayers towards the concerns of others. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Okay, well, here we are in the middle of this epidemic, pandemic, whatever label you want to give it. Amazon just hit an all-time record high. This is stock you could have bought for $5 back around 2004, 2005, I think it is. We'll take a look at a chart later in the show. Let's take a look at a chart. Let's go to the S&P 500 daily chart. Yesterday we talked about the potential for a bearish engulfing candle. And a bearish engulfing candle simply means, in the proper context, which is in this case an uptrend, we print a red candle that has a higher high than the day before, qualifies, and then we have a lower low than the day before. Yesterday's low was 27.11. The previous day's low was 27.01. So we did not meet the qualifications of a bearish engulfing candle, and here we are printing a green candle today. We've got 3 days. We spent 4 days just below the 38% reverse fib. Then we spent 3 days kind of on the other side of that same fib. Now we have 3 days under our belt, straddling the 50% reverse fib. But what's important for us, we've got our our bullish cross. Now remember, the beginning of this whole catastrophe started, well, it truly started with this first red candle closing below the BBC. When we get the bearish cross, which happened on the 26th of February, is that right? 26? Yeah. That price that we had the bearish cross was 32.72. And that took us down to the pandemic low on March 23rd at 27.14. So this 50% reverse fib means we have now recovered half of what was lost on the way down. We're at that 50%. Now, typically, a move of this magnitude and a retracement to the 50, very, very indicative of a continuation to the downside. However, we've got a bullish cross. Remember how powerful this bearish cross was on the daily chart. Now we've got it in the other direction. So while yes, we would at this point look for a pullback to the BBC, we'd like to see it hold there, and then that begins the next leg to the upside. We had a leg and a retracement, a leg, a little retracement here back to the BBC, and then off and running with the 62% reverse fib in our field of vision, followed by this key area right here. The price at which the bearish cross took place, that will most likely represent good resistance as we reach it. Got a lot of ground to cover before that happens. It most likely won't happen in a straight line. We'll get a leg and that retracement potentially back to the BBC. Now on the way down, there was so much bearish momentum, we did not manage a pullback to the BBC until here. Price always reverts to the mean. And for us, the mean is the BBC. And that just stands for bull bear cross, no mystery. When price gets below that green line, we anticipate lower prices until price gets back above it. At which point, we anticipate higher prices until price gets back below it. That's true on this daily chart. It's true on a 5-minute, a 30-minute, a 1-minute, a volume chart. You got a chart. That's how we look at it. That's how our methodology and strategy embraces it. Let's take a look at the numbers from around the world, the cash markets, the indices as they're called. We'll pull in some fresh data. Then we'll go to Michael, get a recap of what happened in the live training room this morning. And then, of course, we'll talk to John, and I will recap the Logic 247 alerts and the Concierge Trade Alerts that have taken place since yesterday's show. Right now, here in the U.S., the Dow is up 568 points, 2.5%. NASDAQ is up 277. That's over 3%. S&P 500 up 74, almost 3%. And the Russell 2000 up 19, little over 1.5%. In the commodity basket, crude oil down $1.19, trading 21.22 last. That's a drop of over 5%. Gold up $9.20, trading 17.70.60 last, gain of about 0.5%. In the Asian markets at the close, Nikkei posted a gain of 595 points, that's 3%. Shanghai rose 44, 1.5%. And the Hang Seng climbed 135, 0.5%. Now, most of the European markets were closed yesterday for Easter Monday. So first day back from the holiday, FTSE closed with a loss of 51 points, almost 1%. The DAX rose 131 points, 1.25%. And the CAC posted a gain of 17 points. That gives us a green day in Asia, a mixed day in the UK, and it's a big green Radio Tuesday here in the US of A. Let's go to Michael and get that recap of what happened in the live training room. If you have any questions about anything I cover, or John covers, or as Michael is doing the recap here, if you have any questions about anything he discusses, any of the charts that he shows you, please post those in the chat box, because we're very happy to answer any and all questions that you have. If you want to ask questions, you need to use the link I gave you at the top of the show. That's where you go to the home page, CFRN.net. On the right-hand side, you click the big microphone, follow the instructions. That logs you in through our website, and with that software, you'll have a chat box where you can ask questions. Because we're streaming in so many different places, CFRN, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, I'm not able to effectively monitor all of the chat boxes. So if you have questions, we encourage you to ask them, because when you ask, we answer, and everybody learns. Michael, it's all yours.
Okay, I am ready. Here we go. Bring it back out here to the East Coast. Well, the foothills of the mountains anyway.
Close to the East Coast.
Close to the East Coast, yes. I am 3 hours away from the East Coast.
Okay.
All right.
I got you locked and loaded.
Okay. I'll go then. Here we go. Good afternoon, everybody. Today is Tuesday, the 14th day of April 2020. Oh, it's my mom's birthday. I think. Today or tomorrow. I'm going to contact my sisters. They know. All right. If you have not taken a free trial with us, go to the homepage at CFRN.net. Hey, I didn't say and scroll down to where it says free 5-day trial and click on that. You'll be brought to this page, EminiTradingSchool.com. On this page, all we ask for is your name, your email, your phone number, and you can tell us your biggest trading challenge. That's if you want to. So we can tailor one-on-one training just for you and cover your biggest trading challenge. Hit the send button. You'll be sent a confirmation link. You must click on the confirmation link. Okay. If you don't click the link, we don't know that you took the free trial. Results today. If you're going to read the spreadsheet, you can read all the CFTC risk disclosures down at the bottom. Today is the 14th day of April 2020. We made 5 ticks in gold and 24 ticks on the ES. That put us at plus 350 on the morning session. Today it took 13 minutes and 1 trade to get to the goal for the day. At that point, we're up $100 a contract, and we took a total of 8 trades today. So on the month now, we're at $4,243 per contract per 2-hour session. And that's over 9 days, averaging $471 per day. On the year, we are at $26,217. That's over 67 days, averaging $391 per day. And we miss most of the trades. I say that every day because it's true. You'll see here with gold. We're going to cover gold first. I didn't do anything with gold today. That doesn't mean there wasn't anything to be done. It just means that I was busy doing other stuff. But let me scroll all the way back to the beginning here. Here we go. Oh, hold on. There it goes. Okay. So started off right here at 9:30 this morning. We need to get a lower swing. And we got one right there. Then it turned around and gave us a leg up and another leg up and another leg up. So there were trade setups, 3 of them right there, enough to triple your goal for the day. Then the slingshot got a little messy down here as things were moving around. But there was another long opportunity right there, double your goal for the day. Another long opportunity there, get your goal for the day. Then the slingshot again had to reset itself. And it was taking its sweet time, but there was a trade right here that would have been a break-even trade had I gotten it, but I didn't. I didn't do anything with gold today. But again, that's not to say that there was an opportunity. There's one. There's one. We continue all the way over here. You see how it flattened out right in there? It was like 5 minutes. It flattened out, and then it decided down. Down is the direction. Yeah, we really didn't have any trade setups in there. Right in here, maybe, but I probably wouldn't have done it because of where the cycle was. Then we continue on, and there was a long opportunity there, a short opportunity there, right there. You see down here in the slingshot, the cycle is red and below the green line. And you have good separation. Now, we've been looking at the YBR trades a lot recently. And, I actually did them yesterday with Alex. And, they're working out pretty well. And I was talking to Bill yesterday by accident. I butt dialed him. But he's been doing just the YBR trades. And, he was doing well with them yesterday. The YBR trade means you have red here, you get a down close, and you have bearish separation down here. You expect it to go down. Okay. And, and that's pretty much what it did do most of the times. If you had the right separation down on the bottom, you can't forget about that part. Okay. All right, and that was pretty much it for gold this morning. Okay. Yeah. Needs to minimize. There we go. Now the euro, we didn't do anything with the euro today either. Again, that's not to say that there wasn't anything to be done, but we didn't do anything with it. Start out right here, it was really choppy. And then we had one trading opportunity right here for a short, another one right there for a short. And that was about it. Now the volume, if you look here on the ES, you see the volume's back over 1,000 on the bid and the ask. 2 weeks ago, it was at 300. And so markets are starting to get back to normal. They're starting to. Now, do I like that? Well, it's less stress on me, but no, I really don't like it. I like this volatility. But I think the volatility is gonna stick for a while because we're going to have we have the virus, right? So that's going to affect everything. And then there's going to be a cure for the virus, so it's going to affect everything. And then we have the elections. So there's a lot of things that are going to be affecting the market over the next few months. The next 8 or 12 months. Anyway, right here was our first trade on crude, and we had a break even on that. Picked up 5 ticks here, had a break even, had another break even, had another break even. So I had a lot of break evens on crude today. But we ended up with plus 5 ticks on crude. Now during the break, there was a big run up right here. I'm not sure what happened to make that, to create that run up. But there was a short right here. We didn't get a trade opportunity on this run up. Well, I guess we did right here. Right there. But there was a short right here on the way back down. And another one right there. And then it just kind of went sideways from there. On the ES. The ES was a little crazy again today. Now I'm going to look at it on a larger time frame in a minute. Okay, just to sort of reiterate what Dwayne was saying. Hold on, here we go. This was our first trade on the ES. We picked up 8 ticks on that trade, and that gave us our goal for the day on our very first trade. All right, now look down here at the slingshot. It's telling you what's likely to happen. You get the green line, pull away from the cycle like that, you're likely to get a shorting opportunity like this right here, from there to there. Now it may not look like much right there, but that's the goal for the day. That's all you need. Over here, long trade. Over here, long trade. All making the goal for the day. Okay. Short trade, right there. Okay, look down here in the slingshot. Keep your eye on the slingshot. Right here, long trade. That's probably 3 times the goal for the day. Now, I didn't do anything with those, but I did grab this one over here. I picked up another 8 ticks to put me at plus 16. And I picked up another 8 ticks here to put me at plus 24. And right here was another long trade. You got to look at the slingshot. Follow the slingshot. Okay. Long trade right there. This is during the break. But there was a long trade there during the break. And looking at the slingshot. And there wasn't really that much that you could do during the break, sadly. But we ended up with plus 24 on the ES this morning. Okay. Now, we will go back here to the spreadsheet. If you're going to read the spreadsheet, you got to read all the CFTC risk disclosures down at the bottom. Today is the 14th day of April, 2020. Made 5 ticks in crude and 24 ticks on the ES. Put us at plus 350 on the morning session. That is one contract, 2 hours. And you can see that I missed a whole bunch of trades. I pointed them all out to you. Today it took 13 minutes and 1 trade to get to the goal for the day. At that point, we're up $100 a contract. And we took a total of 8 trades. So on the month now, we're at $4,243. That's over 9 days, averaging $471 per day. On the year, we're at $26,217. That's over 67 days, averaging $391 per contract per 2-hour day. And I'm missing most of the trades. Okay. Now, if you have not taken the free trial and you want to take the free trial, go to the homepage at CFRN.net. Right here it says free 5-day trial. Click on that. And here, all we ask for is your name, your email, your phone number. And you can tell us your biggest trading challenge so we can tailor one-on-one training specifically for you. You hit the send button, you'll be sent a confirmation link. You must click on the confirmation link. Okay. If you don't click that confirmation link, we don't know that you took the free trial. So you got to click on that link. All right. Let me go see. John's not in here yet, but with that, we can pass it back out. Studio A, fabulous Phoenix, Arizona, overlooking South Mountain, America's largest city park. Dwayne, if you are ready.
I am ready.
Okay.
Recap of the recap.
Today it took 13 minutes and one trade to get to the goal for the day, and at that point we're up $100 per contract.
Good job.
Thank you.
Good job. Okay. Well, President Obama, I guess, faced with no other option, he finally came out and endorsed Joe Biden for president. And that's, how did the conversation go before? Joe said that he had asked the president not to endorse him, which I don't think anybody really bought that story. But now that we are where we are, approaching November, approaching the convention, which we don't know if they'll have a convention, but it looks like on a regional basis that people our various cities and states are just about ready to reopen the economy. Exactly how they're going to do it, how that's going to unfold, nobody really knows, but
I don't know how they're going to do it. I mean, shutting it down was easy. Opening it back up, that's not going to be as easy. I don't think.
I agree. I agree with that 100%. So we'll see how it unfolds. We're so close to summer now that I don't think any schools out there, at least public schools, have any plans to reopen for this school year.
Yeah, I got 2 phone calls today from Jake's school.
What did they say?
I don't know. I didn't answer him. I just noticed him unanswered calls on my phone.
One thing that will look different in this world as we come out of this is an awful lot of people an awful lot of industries who thought, for whatever reason, that their line of work just could not translate to people being able to work from home. That idea has changed. And for a lot of individuals who thought they couldn't work from home for whatever reason, have found out that they can. And a lot of...
and that's good and bad, I think, because, there's a lot of real estate that's not going to be needed if people are going to start working from home all the time.
Oh, commercial, you're absolutely right. Commercial real estate could take a real hit from this.
Yeah.
And the talk is that residential real estate will take a hit as well. So we'll
I don't know. We can't find real estate here. I mean, not quality real estate where I live. There's
nobody selling.
They're selling, but the prices are too high, and we have a budget for this next house, and we're going to stick to it this time. We're not going to spend every cent that they have. We're not going to let them spend every cent that they have. Right. We have a budget.
They're downsizing, right?
Yeah, because the house that they were building after they burned their first house down, what was that? It was actually their third house. But after they burned that one down, the insurance company came right in and was great. And they started rebuilding, and we kept telling them, you're spending too much money, you're spending too much money, you're spending too much money. And it's going to be too big. It's going to be too big. There's just 2 of you. And, well, they realized it was too big.
Right.
And now they got a week and a half to get out of it.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. So we rented them yesterday. We signed the contract to rent them a house while we build him another house.
So that's a lot of moving.
Oh, you have no idea. And, you know, Phil, Jada's dad, you know, he was in, he owned Carolina Construction for 33 years. And so he's got a lot of stuff. A lot of stuff. And last week I helped him move all his heavy stuff. I helped him move all his heavy stuff into the storage locker. And I'm telling you, it's, I don't want to have to do it again, but I know I'm going to have to do it at least one more time.
Right.
And, you know, to get it out of the storage locker and into the house once we're done with the house, it's, yeah, a pain in it. It's a pain.
A couple comments in the chat box.
Yes.
Vic says, the question for me is, are we going to do this for every new virus that pops up? Well, I think every new virus that pops up is certainly going to be looked at a lot closer. And I think governments will be quicker to move to action before it gets out of hand. But I don't know if anybody here watched Tucker last night on Fox, but he went through a pretty detailed view of the numbers, and something just doesn't add up. It's like somebody's messing with us, or somebody's messing with somebody.
The thing about this particular virus is the period from where you actually get it to where you realize you have it. You know, 2 weeks is a long time, and then once it hits you, you know, it hits you like a brick, and that's not the same for, like, you know, the flu, we'll say, you know, because I mean you can compare it to the flu. I mean it's got the symptoms of the flu, but you know, if you're getting sick with the flu, you realize it as it's starting. You don't realize it 2 weeks later, and it's too late to do anything about it.
Right.
You know, that's what's crazy about this virus. So,
well, a lot of companies are realizing that some of their employees can work from home. Another comment in the chat box was, some people are realizing it's not always easy to work from home. Even if your job does translate well to working from home, you have to develop a whole new set of disciplines when you don't have someone looking over your shoulder. You don't have anyone sitting in the cubicle next to you, or standing behind you, looking at what you're doing. So for people and I think a lot of people have at some point in their career, whatever your career is, part of the dream is that someday you either own your own business or you are able to work from home. And our industry, the trading industry, I think probably saw one of the simpler transitions to working from home than most other industries, simply because so many traders already work from home. And everything with the markets being primarily electronic now, you know, with the closing of the pits in Chicago that we saw a few years ago, and some of those traders just never made the transition. Some did. We were able to help a few who were trying to make the transition, but trading as we do, based off of just a chart and technical data, and you know, some traders do, even though they're chart traders, not pit traders, they do factor in fundamentals. We really don't. We look purely at the technicals. So these traders who built a career, you know, doing flashing hand signals and whatnot in the pit, once they were faced with a screen and no other people, no relationships they built with other traders over the years, it's a whole different ballgame. Because it was the hand signal, it was the look in somebody's eye, it was the one guy leaning forward, taller than everybody else, with a deeper voice than everybody else, who had orders to fill that would get people's attention. All of that just vanished in the twinkling of an eye. So it was a very difficult transition. If no one's ever watched those movies, there's two. One's called Floored, and I think the other one's called The Pit.
And we actually, one of our partners is in one of those movies.
That's right. True story. Yep, he's in the opening shots of one of them. I forget which one it was.
Floored, I think.
Floored. Now, along with Obama endorsing Biden, Senator Bernie Sanders on Monday endorsed his former rival for the Democratic presidential nomination, Joe Biden. "We need you in the White House," Sanders told the former vice president, "and I'll do all that I can to see that that happens." Biden responded by telling Sanders, "I'm going to need you, not just to win the campaign, but to govern." Sanders' formal support was seen as a strong signal to Sanders' intensely loyal followers and a potentially important factor as Biden tries to win over the young progressive voters. An expected endorsement from another of the top progressives, Senator Elizabeth Warren, could additionally reinforce Biden's pitch to the progressives. So, as unlikely as it seemed even a month ago that Joe Biden would sit behind the desk in the Oval Office, as they say, I think it's become a horse race. Now, so much can happen in the months between now and the election, good or bad. If this thing gets put to bed pretty quickly, then Trump will get a lot of credit. If this thing drags out, he's going to get a lot. Well, he's going to get blamed. It doesn't matter what happens. It could all vanish tomorrow, and they would still find fault with him and how he handled it. But if you look at the timelines of when he learned things and when he took action, everyone said he was overreacting, he was xenophobe, he was all of this. And then their narrative suddenly changed from "you acted too early" to "you acted too late." So this poor guy, it's hard to win. Two groups of governors, one from the East Coast and the other from the West Coast, announced yesterday they were joining forces to develop coordinated plans to eventually reopen their economies. The governors plan to roll back coronavirus restrictions slowly to avoid new spikes of infections. New Jersey, New York, Connecticut, Pennsylvania, Delaware, and Rhode Island are forming the Eastern Regional Council, while California, Washington, and Oregon are forming the Western one. The announcement came as the White House unveiled its new council to stimulate the federal economy and reopen businesses. President Trump, who has said he hopes to reopen parts of the economy as soon as possible, did say that he has the final say. He has the total authority to overrule the governors. His exact words were, "The President of the United States calls the shots." The Supreme Court is now hearing arguments via telephone. Imagine they find out they can work from home. Yeah.
You know, it's funny because the judges, they're trained on body language. And, to tell when somebody's lying. My ex-wife, when we were in court, the judge that was there, she could tell that my ex-wife was lying.
Mm-hmm.
She could tell right away. And
Right.
That's how I got custody of my son.
Wow.
They really look at body language.
Well, when we were adopting, we were going through the formal adoption process at the hearings in front of the judge. The biological father, who had never even seen the child, they would teleconference him into the courtroom from wherever he was serving his time. And because he was an undocumented individual, the plan was is once he served his time here, he would be sent back to South America where he came from. But that was an interesting dynamic. I think the only reason he even participated in the process was because, you know, it gave him a little window to get out of lockdown and go somewhere and, you know, have different surroundings for a couple hours, talk on the telephone. But anyway, let me show you guys where we are this week with Logic 247.
Okay.
As of yesterday this time, we had a total of 8 alerts issued. Nothing had been stopped out. Today, as of noon, we've got 18 total alerts issued, 15 actionable, 3 still waiting, 2 have been stopped out, so that's 13% of the logic alerts being stopped out. Now, the logic alerts are the ones that are issued in their own channel, around the clock, 24/7, as opportunity presents itself. The other alerts, the Concierge Trade Alerts, those are issued once per session, shortly after the Globex open, and those numbers are good for the entire session. And those numbers, we do anticipate that they will be tested repeatedly. Yesterday was a pretty good example. Here was the Concierge Trade Alert that went out Sunday night. To be short, 27.45, and then the final trade to target was down here at 27.25/26. That's a 20-point move. So we triggered once, twice, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, 6 times, 7 times, 8 times, and there's old number 9. But it was right about this time that the new alerts came out for last night. I'll drag those up to the big screen. So if anybody wants to grab a screenshot, got them out at 6:30 last night. We cover the ES, the Dow, the Russell, Crude, the NQ. I've laid off bonds and soybeans of late. We don't seem to have a lot of bond or soybean traders. And then there's gold. Now, the logic alerts are based on current price action. Concierge alerts are based on previous price action. So you have these 2 different methods, and when they both point a finger at the same important price, important area, that usually deserves a second look. Sometimes one will lead you into the other. So last night on the S&P, oh, and while we're here, I'll just point out on the S&P, this was the Sunday night Globex open. We just tripped right through this zone like it wasn't even there, and we hit this zone, found support. When price finds support, it can't go any lower. It will do an about face, and it will go look for resistance, which it found right here, just below this weekly zone, which is 27.65/66. Resistance sends you back to support, back to resistance, etc., and so on. And we went from zone up to the zone, back down to the zone, up to the zone. We consolidated here, and then we did a leg and a retracement and a leg and a retracement and a leg back up to the zone. Now I'm going to break this 2820 trade down for you I did last night, early on in the Globex session, I did a lot of posting in the alert discussion group. Let me show you what this looks like. If you're on the trial, if you're not participating in the discussion group, you're missing a lot, okay? A lot of great, and it's not just me talking, or Michael, or Valerie. A lot of our traders get involved. They share their charts. They talk about what they're seeing. It's also where I post counter trend alerts. I only put trend trade alerts in the actual logic alert channel. But ahead of almost every alert, trend alert, there is a counter trend move. So I'm going to scroll up and to show you what some of those look like, and that can be very good guidance. So let me drag it up. I think this was the first post last night. Gold hit its highest price since 2012 yesterday. Roku was up 10% in after hours trading. And these were all those triggers on the S&P. We saw multiple triggers on the other concierge alerts as well. 8 triggers, 1 alert. On the NQ yesterday, so this would be Sunday night's alert that unfolded during the Monday session. We had 1, 2, 3, 4 short triggers, and we had 1 long trigger. So two-sided action triggered both on the short alert and on the long alert. And I encourage everyone, because this chart does not have the alerts on it, or the indicators, and I wanted everyone who's on the trial to go and apply the indicators to the chart so that you can see why some of these short triggers were in fact supported by the indicators and some not so much. Now, here's the S&P 30-minute ES at major resistance, and so on this chart it looks like this. When I posted that chart, we were, looks like right here on this candle right there, ES at major resistance. Reason for resistance on the 30-minute was the prior bearish cross. And let me put the indicators on here so you'll see exactly what that looks like. See where I got the big arrow pointing? Watch what happens. That bearish cross becomes an important price, important area. As this bullish cross here, when price winds its way back down, that will become an important price, important area. Not every bullish and bearish cross becomes an important area, but the ones that do, they stand out, and you have a real good idea ahead of time what level of importance that's going to play. So we came up to it once. Just so happens that that bearish cross took place right at a weekly trading zone. So we ran up to the zone and the area we expected resistance, back down to the zone support, back up to the zone resistance. And so without the indicators, you look at this chart and you go, okay, we hit the area and we drop heavily for 30 minutes. This is a 30-minute candle. No wick on top, no wick on the bottom. And then, seemingly out of the blue, we turn around and we head higher. Why? Well, putting the indicators back on will clarify that. What did price do when it ran into resistance? It did an about face and went looking for support. When we approach the BBC from above, we expect the BBC to serve as good support. And it did. It sent us back up to resistance, and this time we made it through. We failed this time. We failed. We didn't really fail here. We failed here long enough to go find support, and then support took us up to this swing high. Now, so I'm alerting everyone to the reason why in the discussion group. These are posted live in real time as it's happening. It's a running commentary on the market. This was a potential counter trend trade on the NQ. You'll notice that this little rectangle fits inside the body of that candle. On a pullback, price potentially could find support at the low of any one of those 30-minute candles. But if it can get through those, then I certainly expected it to make it to the BBC. I expect this bullish cross on the YM may turn into a head fake. Okay? But did it? Well, we'll find out when we get to that chart. Here's the ES counter trend, and possibly a fake out versus a breakout turned out to be the breakout. But that little window of opportunity, you can see it got filled perfectly. Came down to the BBC, traded down through the window, back up through the window. When you have a window of opportunity fill like this, you should anticipate that it will be filled in the opposite direction if filling the window brings it into support. So a counter trend, I only talk about those here in the discussion group. I don't actually publish them as an official alert in the alert channel. The alert channel, I stick with the trend trades. Hold on for me just 1 second, guys. I'll be back in 2 seconds. I'm back. All right. So on the ES counter trend opportunity, it failed. I just showed you that. There's a counter trend on gold. I'll go ahead and tell you now, this one didn't fill, but watch what happened later on. Here's the NQ counter trend opportunity. We even had a trend opportunity on the 6E, the euro. If it can overcome potential resistance at the previous bearish cross right there, then price could go all the way to challenge previous swing high. Similar picture on the Mexican peso as we had on the euro. British pound primed and ready to make another run. And here is copper. Copper pays $250 per penny of movement. If price goes from 234 to 235, it's $250 per contract traded. Tons of opportunity everywhere you look. Now, when you look at this here, you're looking at my Telegram, which is going to read the clock on my computer. And so you're going to see Pacific time. On your Telegram, you're going to see whatever time zone you're in. ES Daily looks like a potential pullback to the BBC is in the works. We already talked about that earlier today. Here's the YM with the current zones. Zone, down to the zone, on its way back to the zone. Now, you'll notice here, we had a bullish cross. Once we have a bullish cross, we then look at some point for price to pull back to the BBC, because price always reverts to the mean. So I outlined the counter trend move right here, 23,330 to 23,300. Between the trend and the counter trend moves I just posted, that should keep everybody busy for a while. So at the same time that I was posting these counter trend moves, I was additionally posting trend moves in the logic alert channel. Always trade sim with any method until consistently profitable. Otherwise, it's gambling. If you become a CFRN member, we want you to put together 10 consecutive days in a row where you reach your goal in 10 trades or less before you go live. Once you do that, our blueprint gives you the green light to go live with one contract. We want you to stay with one until you increase your account balance by $2,000. The idea behind that is that after the first contract, every additional contract you add per the blueprint will only be added with profit you earned in the market. Without a hard physical, not mental stop loss, that's also gambling. So if you're not consistently profitable and you go live gambling, if you go live even after you've proved yourself consistently profitable, if you go live without a stop loss, that's gambling. Don't be a gambler. Be the house. Give yourself the edge. There's an in-depth post above regarding the topic, and so I just went ahead and I reposted it. We covered this the other day, but it's worth just running through again real quick. Vegas always wins over the larger sample size. Call it a weekend, right? You come in on Friday night, you fly in Friday night, you know, maybe you do okay, and Saturday, hey, you're doing okay, but by the time, when it's time to fly home on Sunday, the probabilities say that the house is going to be the profitable entity, not Joe from Idaho. Sorry, Joe. Now, how this works is these casinos, I don't like gambling analogies, but sometimes it makes it easy to explain these probabilities. These casinos, they intentionally put the probabilities in their favor. While I don't like gambling analogies, it makes it easy to understand what we mean by having a definable edge. If you've ever been to Vegas or the county fair, you throw in those softballs at that little thing trying to knock it down. At some point you've probably said, man, this thing's rigged. It is. It absolutely is rigged. The good news is with trading, you get to make the rules. You get to rig the market. You can become the house if you have a definable edge, a truly statistical definable edge, like we demonstrate here every day for you, day after day after day for many years. You get to make the rules. You get to become the house. However, once you find your definable edge, once you establish your rules, you've got to stick with them through the good hands and the bad. It's the only way to find out if you truly have a definable edge. Imagine the blackjack dealer changing the rules every time he had a losing hand. The house would never be able to create a definable edge. You must have a definable edge to be a consistent trader. Then once you have it, you cannot deviate from it unless, after a large enough sample size, which Mark Douglas recommends, I think, a minimum of 20 trades, you don't change things, because you have to have a large enough sample size to clearly show statistically that you have the definable edge. And without the definable edge, you can't become a consistently profitable trader. Vegas realizes if they won every hand, people would not come back. So they had, when they created their rules, they couldn't go too far. Now, for different reasons, as a trader, you have to accept that you cannot be profitable on every trade. It's statistically impossible. It defies the laws of physics. And it would literally mean that you're able to know the future, and that would defy God's law. You cannot know the future with certainty. But you can know what the next high probability move is every time you sit down and look at a chart. There will be times when the market is consolidating between important prices and important areas. And so you have to be patient until the market shows you what it's trying to do. Is it trying to get to the zone overhead, or is it trying to get to the zone below? Because price is always trying to get to a weekly trading zone. Once you're able to discern which one it's trying to get to, now you're able to move in, put on and take off trades, and with a very high degree of probability, you may not always be profitable on a trade. You may get stopped out, but you're on the right side of the trade. You may have been long and the market did move higher, but in the process you got stopped out. That happens. That's trading. If you're on the trial right now and you don't yet understand how such a thing is possible, because that's a pretty powerful statement, you can know what the next high probability move is every time. If you're on the trial and you don't yet understand how such a thing is possible, just ask. When you ask, we answer. Everybody learns. So on the S&P, we had talked up here about, it's one of the first charts I showed, I think. Okay, here's the ES, counter trend. Okay, it's counter trend because if you're going to take this trade, you're shorting back to the prices above the BBC, which means you're only looking for long trades. But you anticipate price pulling back to the BBC because it always does. That's not as high a probability as what's going to happen once price does pull back and it holds. That has the highest probability. But this is still a valid trade. Some people just look for counter trend opportunities. So if we go back down here, we'll see that. There's the pullback in motion on the S&P. See, we've now entered that window of opportunity. Same thing on the Dow. We had a counter trend window of opportunity. It filled. The Russell completed its pullback. The ES, the wicks touching the bottom of the window there, so it completed its pullback. Once the pullback is complete, drop to a 5-minute and let price get back above the BBC. So on the 30-minute, we've completed the pullback. But on a 5-minute, we're now, because of this pullback, we've dropped below the BBC on the 5-minute. We want price to get back above the BBC on the 5 minute, so it lines up with the 30 minute. And that should answer the question of when do I go long or when do I get short. This is the Russell, but the indices, the dynamics, are almost always the same. Here's the Dow 5 minute. Want to get back above. The ES fill the window on the way down and on the way back up. Yet we're still below the 5 minute BBC. Same scenario on the Dow. Filled it on the way down, filled it on the way back up. The Russell, same dynamic, came down to the BBC, caught a beautiful bounce. Now this counter on gold looks very nice with the wick up above, red and falling. And I was asked, is that gold a 30-minute chart? It was. Now the ES, remember on that first chart, we just had the beginning of this red candle pulling back to the BBC. So we filled the window on the way down, we filled it on the way back up, and at the time I snapped this shot, we had ran up $1,500 per contract so far. Gold did not fill the window. As nice as this counter trend looked with that wick sticking up, this window did not get filled. Well, market goes up, finds resistance, begins the pullback once again to the BBC, and this time it filled the window. Okay. Now, that's all the stuff that I posted last night. Now let's do this. Grab a screenshot if you haven't grabbed a screenshot, and we'll walk through some of these. We'll walk through all of these. Okay? All right. And remember, we anticipate these alerts being triggered multiple times. Doesn't always happen, but as you saw yesterday and as you see every day, it does happen. Sometimes only twice, sometimes 3 times, sometimes 5. Oh, I think John's here. Let me get his mic open. Sorry, John, I missed your call. We will pick up where we left off. Hey, John, welcome to the show. Sorry.
Hi there. How you doing?
Yeah,
Thanks.
Good.
Good to be on. Good to be alive.
Amen.
So,
Amen.
listen, maybe we should start off and look at that 4-hour chart that we were looking at yesterday to see where
What market were we looking at it on?
On the S&P.
On the S&P? Okay.
Yeah, I mean it's pretty dramatic, the breakout we've had. It's actually a lot more dramatic on the Nasdaq. We're up about 300 points on the Nasdaq. But
Would you rather look at the NQ?
yeah, maybe let's the Nasdaq, because it has Amazon in it, and as you know, we had a $2,500 target on it, and it's a 20
all-time high today.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing.
Here's the 4-hour on the NQ.
Yep. So we remember yesterday where we were, and it was a little bit of a tough call because we had that down bar, right, and we had to kind of get up above it. But it's pretty dramatic now with where we are, with and our little favorite Roku that we've mentioned a number of times.
Up 10% in after-hours trading. I saw that last night.
Right. Yeah, and it's going to go a lot higher. I think it's going to go back to 140. By the looks of it.
Now, what's driving that? Just people staying at home?
I think they underestimated it. Didn't kind of get the Zoom treatment. You know what I mean? Where people being stuck at home obviously would have been positive for Roku, and Roku might go to new all-time highs before this is all over, because the impact, of this quarter and the last quarter when they reported. Possibly could be very bullish for Roku. Roku's a little bit like Microsoft in a way, because they managed to get their, all of their stuff embedded in pretty much every TV that's being made these days. That's a pretty big deal.
Yeah, it's almost like what was it? What was the Microsoft browser called?
Windows 95.
Internet Explorer.
Oh, yeah, right.
Yeah, how that
Yeah,
came
like
built-in,
when they
that
made
came
it kind of
built-in.
mandatory. Yeah, right. Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. Interesting point. Yeah.
So then,
So,
and yeah, you're right. If you walk through the aisle at Walmart or anywhere, looking at all the extraordinary TVs for sale.
yeah.
In fact, I found a box in my garage the other day. It was a a monitor I had bought back in I think it was 98. It was a 14-inch monitor. It was a monster. And I looked it up on the internet, and that 14-inch color monitor in 1998 was $800.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. Look how far we've
Yeah.
come. Folks, the screen you're seeing right now is a 55-inch flat panel hanging on the wall that cost me $300.
Well, a 20-inch monitor today you can probably get for about $80.
Yeah, you sure can.
But, yeah, it's a fantastic. But and it's going to get better and better. As time goes on, these monitors are going to get cheaper and cheaper and bigger screens and everything. So it's great.
This is a $6,000 per contract move right here.
Yeah. There's been a few interesting developments in the medical world since my rant yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
The governor of South Dakota, Noem, she's basically set the stage for what I wouldn't call it handing the stuff out on street corners, i.e. the hydro or whatever works, but she certainly set up a kind of a study, and a statewide study that could actually affect a lot of people, could result in hundreds of thousands of people being tested and treated, and really that's what they should be doing on a national scale right now, because they're still bashing Trump this morning and bashing the hydro and everything, and they're bonkers. They're okay. You can tolerate so many thousand deaths per day, but you're gonna sort of like allow people to just die without helping them. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. Listen, I forgot to send this to you. I wanted to send it to you this morning, but there's this is like 2017. There is just monumental high praise for ivermectin, which is a word we've introduced on this show that you don't hear on any other channel or screen or anywhere. We were here first. You heard it here first. And ivermectin, they were talking about it in 2017 as being like the wonder drug, the panacea, like a cure-all. And there's like, well over 100 scientific papers all over this thing. And it may end up being the one that maybe they missed or they didn't get to the market sooner, but it certainly is pretty.
So on one hand, is it worms, or on the other hand, is it 5G?
Sorry, say that again.
This coronavirus, does it come from the worm or does it come from the 5G? That's a pretty wide spectrum there.
Well, yeah, I think it comes from the bats. but
last night I asked my wife, I said, what exactly is a wet market? And she said, well, I think it's for the, blah, blah. And so I Googled it, and you go in and they have live animals there, and you pick out whatever you want, and then they slaughter it on the spot.
Yeah.
That doesn't sound good.
No, and it's certainly, look, it's just terrible what's happened. This
and if
thing
they
has
hadn't
kinda
lied, many lives would have been saved.
Yeah, No, you know, the problem with, you know what I'm a little bit worried about actually, Dwayne, is this reinfection problem, because it appears that people can be reinfected pretty easily with this thing. And
Tim just said, well, how about lobster at a restaurant? Yeah, very good, Tim. That's, I guess we've all done that.
yeah.
But it's a little different, I think. So.
Well, you know, look, you know, I used to eat sushi, but I'm not so keen on it anymore, because there's a lot of things in the fish that can really, you know, parasites, a lot of parasites in raw fish that can do you in pretty good. So, you know, that's not
I live in Phoenix, and just the thought of eating raw fish in the middle of the desert, just, I stay away from it. You need to get that?
No, it's okay.
All right.
It's okay. All right. So the market is like unstoppable today. It's really kind of I was actually thinking about this morning, and not so much with the Dow. It's a bit of a laggard today, but the Nasdaq. I mean, it just won't stop. Every pullback's been bought, and I just thought it was going to be one of those days that, you know, where it just keeps going up, and that's, you know, that appears to be the case. And it's only, I remember what we said, you know, Tuesday probably be a pretty strong day. So it's, we're sort of back in the groove, if you like, and we're probably back in the climbing a wall of worry. But the monthly and the daily and the weekly profiles of these leading stocks like Apple and Adobe and all these, you know, high flyers are just really, really very, very bullish. And honest to God, it looks like, I mean, look, Dwayne, what do you think is going to happen when, you know, maybe in a few weeks' time, like 5 million people go back to work, or, you know, or you know, all of a sudden the number of people out of work drops below 10 million or something, and the market's going to go up when that happens. So there's, I mean, you know, short of, you know, a meteorite hitting the world or something, there's really not a lot that can make this market go down right now. And even some of the biggest bears have turned bullish because, you know, don't fight the Fed. The Fed has got control. And I'm calling, you know, Trump's dream team of financial alchemists have done an amazing job saving the world. There's just no ifs, ands, or buts about it. They've done a phenomenal job, service to everybody, and everybody should be very grateful for what they've done. It's you know, could be a whole lot worse.
Yeah. So, yeah, there's Amazon, all-time historic highs. That's a monthly chart.
Yeah.
But look at the month that they've had in the midst of this crisis. We're only halfway through the month.
So
Joan posted
by
an
the way,
interesting.
I've written a report called "The Alchemy of Our Financial Destiny." Took me about
Did you email it
10
to me?
hours, 10 hours or more of work. The alchemy of our financial destiny. In other words, all the alchemy, all the intrigue, all the stuff that's been going on, the 20 trillion of stimulus worldwide that has got us to where we are, is all it looks like Trump's having an interview with presumably patients who recovered from taking hydro. So,
oh, is that happening live right now?
Yeah,
oh,
yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah,
and
we just hit up 500 on the Dow, so that's pretty good. But these guys, I mean, really, they've done an incredible job. This thing the Fed did last week was just off the charts. I mean, it's a quantum leap above anything they've ever done before. And you know, you have to salute them. You have to salute them. They've done a fantastic job.
Now on the Dow, on the E-mini, I've got data going back to say 2002.
Yeah.
I mean, in the
I mean,
grand scheme
remember
of
when
things,
this thing was cratering? You know, it was only a few weeks ago. This thing was cratering
Yeah.
pretty badly.
Yeah.
And to be fair, you know, I think you have to acknowledge I turned very bullish pretty early, you know, in the game, and I'm happy I did. Glad I did. Hope it helped a few people. So
I'm sure it did. So we've now got support on the Dow here at 21,560.
yeah. By the way, did you see the way Tesla went through that gap we were talking about yesterday? Son of a gun. So it's up about 700 this morning.
Put it on a daily.
Look at that.
Look at that gap. Yeah.
That's remarkable.
It is. Now I see you sent me an email on ivermectin.
Yeah. Oh, maybe I sent you the science stuff. Maybe I did after all. Yeah.
Starting to feel, and then there's another one starting to feel optimistic. And then there's one gold up 44 already today. That was from a few days. That was from last week. So the last one I got from you was dated April 13th, yesterday.
What was that I sent you?
Ivermectin, potential silver
Oh,
bullet.
okay. Yeah, that's probably the one with all. There's one scientific with a whole bunch of scientific. Is that one high praise for ivermectin? Is that the one?
Let's see. Ivermectin, potential silver bullet versus COVID-19.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah.
Is there anything on here that you wanted me to share in particular?
No, look, I think maybe you should read it first, and then when you look at then tomorrow, or maybe we'll talk about it a bit more. But it's, I mean, it's staggering that the amount of papers being written about this thing. It's.
Did you see Tucker last night?
Say again, sorry.
Did you see Tucker Carlson last night?
I didn't have time to get him. I missed him.
He
missed him last night.
He did a pretty good job of walking through all the numbers, all the statistics, all of the facts as we know them. And we know that some of these death certificates have been signed COVID-19 when there were other factors that played into the deaths. But even taking the statistics as they are, the question is, well, who's messing with us?
Somebody's messing with us big time. I tell you what.
Somebody's messing with somebody. I mean,
the deep state has got a lot of tentacles all over the map,
it just doesn't add up. The numbers don't add, and I don't mean to make light of this. It's a very serious illness. I pray that no one ever gets it again, and I hope that those are sick recover from it. But we've been locked up in our homes. We've been told to. The other day, I walked into this little shop. It's a little shop next to Walmart, and their products are considered an essential business. I just walked in, and there was no one in there but myself and the clerk. And I had on this mask, and I had on these reflector sunglasses. And as I approached the counter, you open the door, it goes ding dong, and I walk up to the counter, and I go, I feel like I'm supposed to rob you or something, but don't worry, I'm not going to. And she laughed, and she goes, it's still hard to get used to seeing somebody come through the door with a mask on, but.
Yeah, it's a wonder they're still there with Walmart beside them,
Yeah.
Gone out of business yet.
Well, in some states, they're roping off. If you go to Walmart, you can't buy tennis shoes or blue jeans or any of these other items. I don't know if they're doing it everywhere. I don't know if they've done it here in Phoenix, but I know it was in the headlines that Target, Walmart, these stores that are able to keep their doors open because they sell groceries or medicine. They say it's because by letting people into the other departments, it increases the potential of spreading the illness. But I think somebody somewhere felt that it wasn't fair to the store that only sells tennis shoes and blue jeans and doesn't have any groceries. And I've noticed some little places that didn't carry groceries before, they've now got a shelf with groceries. You know, it might be Twinkies and soda pops, but it's food. So by the letter of the law, they can open their doors.
Yeah. So, well, I kind of, obviously the situation's getting better in terms of a lot of these states and countries kind of peaking. And just guess we have to hope for the best and hope it continues,
Look at gold, sure looks nice.
Yeah, gold is doing great. I mean, it really, the silver is up 60 cents today, so it's breaking back
silver
into
looking
16s
good.
now.
Yep.
And my favorite, platinum, up $66 today. That is, it's back over 800. So that's finally got going.
Yeah, platinum looks, the platinum chart and the silver chart look an awful lot alike.
Yeah, they do tend to move together. So, and honest to God, Dwayne, it's starting to look like the correction that we had from February 20th down to March 24th, 24th was a three-wave pullback in an ongoing bull market. So we're back in a bull market, basically.
Joan just shared this tweet with me. Let me pull it up. As you said on watching the COVID death count spiral, please know the official CDC government guidance for coding COVID-related deaths is as follows. Any death where the disease caused or is assumed to have caused or contributed to the death. Confirmed lab tests are not required. And as we discussed yesterday, apparently if a hospital puts a toe tag on somebody and it says COVID, they get some kind of extra payment, they get a bump. If they have to put people on ventilators, they get a big bonus for that. So yeah, I really do. I think we all feel a sense of relief. It's not over. There could be another wave, but we've withstood the initial onslaught, and we're going to be okay. It's not going to all be back to business as normal tomorrow, but I fully believe that we're on the upswing. Now, the John Hopkins dashboard, has there been any real changes that you've noticed on that dashboard? The one we looked at yesterday. Look at the US. Pulling up my US map. All right, back to the recap. On the NQ, the alert to be long last night, 83.75. Right here. We've run up 300 points, $6,000 per contract traded. That one alert with one contract is enough to pay, more than enough to pay, for the cost of a lifetime passport. So,
I was just saying, I thought I had didn't realize I was muted. I was just saying that you don't miss too many of these major moves, and you certainly have nailed some of the best ones ever in the last few months. In the last,
Oh,
really
that's very kind. Thank you.
fantastic. Actually, can you go back to the world for a minute?
Back
Just
to the
on
world. Yeah.
and just right click on that where it says deaths. Just go to the right arrow. Should show the recovered. Yeah, 467. So it's but for sure it's over 500 because they're not reporting anything like the numbers out of the UK yet or in a lot of these places.
So how's Sweden faring? Because they're not doing any of this stuff. They're not isolating people. If I understood it correctly, they're not. Is that your understanding?
I don't think they're any different from anybody else. I think they're they're sort of tarred with the same brush, really.
Is Sweden isolating? Sweden has avoided isolation. Let's see what the date on this is. April 6th, so it's a week old. Unlike other countries, it has so far avoided both isolation and economic ruin. If the pandemic tails off in a few weeks, months before, come on. Okay. And these ads are just overwhelming. Close ad. Okay. Maybe I just got to hit the right X. They hide them pretty well. Well, I would have loved to have shared this article with you guys, but here we go. If the COVID-19 pandemic tails off in a few weeks, months before the alarmists claim it will, they will probably pivot immediately and pat themselves on the back for the brilliant social distancing controls that they imposed on the world. They will claim that their heroic recommendations averted total calamity. Unfortunately, they'll be wrong. And Sweden, which has done almost no mandated social distancing, will probably prove them wrong. Lots of people are rushing to discredit Sweden's approach, which relies more on calibrated precautions and isolating only the most vulnerable than on imposing a full lockdown. While gatherings of more than 50 people are prohibited and high schools and colleges are closed, Sweden has kept its borders open, as well as its preschools, grade schools, bars, restaurants, parks, and shops. President Trump has no use for Sweden's approach. Last Wednesday, he smeared it in a spectacular fashion by saying he'd heard that Sweden gave it a shot and they saw things that were really frightening. So here we go again. Who are you going to believe? Who said what? You used to think if you heard it on the news, although we don't really have news anymore, we have opinion channels. It's difficult to find actual news. So I guess we'll just all have to wait and see. All right, John, I lost your audio again. All right, so
can you Google Lilium there for a minute? L-I-L-I-U-M, because there's an update coming on these flying.
What is it again? L-I-L,
sorry, L-I-L, Lilium, yeah, I-U-M, yeah.
Flying car.
It's just such a magical thing to look at. This thing, it's just mesmerizing.
This one?
I think down a little bit, down below. I think that's the one. Just Lilium.com, whatever that is. It should show it. Yeah. There was an update on all these things yesterday, about a dozen of them. I'll send them to you. Every night.
All right. Lilium.com. Enabling a world where anyone can fly anywhere, anytime.
I'll be with you in a minute.
Now, is this one that where they say anyone can fly anywhere, anytime? Is this like a taxi service, or are they saying it's simple to learn how to fly yourself?
There's a better video somewhere in there, but it's just terrific. It's amazing.
Yeah, unfortunately, with this go to software, the videos, when you try to play them, they don't
Okie doke. Listen,
stream
thanks, Dwayne.
properly.
We'll catch you
All right,
tomorrow.
John.
All the best.
All right,
Bye.
All right, let's do this thing. Last night on the S&P, Concierge Trade Alert, long 27.85. That's going to be right here. 27.85. All right, 27.85. From 27.85, this first move up took us to 28.08. So it'd be 15 and 8's 23, $50 a point. So this initial move was worth over $1,000 per contract traded. Price then came back. Now look where price found resistance. If you look left there, resistance, resistance, resistance. We overshot it. This was that Sunday night powerful gap higher open that quickly reversed. And so now, 2 days later, price finds resistance again at the same area. Okay? Anybody that tells you support and resistance trading is old-fashioned, old school, doesn't work in the world of high-frequency traders and algorithms, well, yeah, I beg to differ, only because the chart begs to differ. Now, as price comes back down to the trigger and gets below the trigger, the dynamic here is very different than the dynamic here. Here, on the trigger, you're riding the back of blue and climbing. That's what you want on a long trade. Over here, we get below, we trigger, and from 27.85 up to 27.93, that's about an 8-point move. I mean, that's a day's work. $50 a point, that's $400 per contract traded. But when price runs into red and falling like this, we expect it to be good resistance, and it was. Sent it back down to the BBC, which also happens to be right where the trigger was at that time. It was once we closed above, see, going long on this trigger, you got a reason to be patient. Be patient. But once this candle closes above red and falling, opens here, and starts to move higher, well, that's going to turn red and falling into blue and climbing. And what does price do? Makes a beeline to the weekly trading zone, which we expect to be good resistance until it isn't. When price reaches resistance and can't go any higher, it does an about face and goes to find support. When price approaches the BBC from above, we expect it to be good support. And when price can't go any lower, it'll do an about face and go look for resistance, which it found once again at the weekly trading zone. Now, we had an alert this morning on the S&P, and let me break this down for you. The alert was to be long 28.20 to 28.22 to the weekly zone at 26.27. So that's a 6-point move, and as you can see, it worked out just fine. But let me show you what it looked like as it was happening. It'll help you hopefully really make it clear the importance of using a smaller time frame to time your entry. I know they say you can't time the market, but you know, we beg to differ. Okay, so Here's the S&P. This was a 5-minute, okay? On the 30-minute, we were already above the BBC, which says, hey, you want to be long. But by also looking at a 5-minute at the same time, okay, we could see that price was running into the BBC, which when we approach from below, we expect to be good resistance until it isn't. So the 30-minute helps us to understand which side of the street we want to be on, long or short. By dropping to the smaller time frame, if I know I'm running into resistance on the smaller time frame, if that resistance holds, well, then this isn't going to go anywhere. But by looking at the 5-minute, we can see that we need to get above the BBC. We need to get above where this bearish cross took place. So that allowed us to put out the alert I just showed you to be long 2820. You can see it right here. This was put out before this big candle was created. Let me just drag it over a little bit. There we go. So price came up through 2820, got to the zone, 6-point trade, consolidated. Now we're starting to move towards the next zone overhead, which is going to be 2869 right here. Okay. Once price overcame this zone, remember it tried once, twice, on the third time it made it through. There's once, twice, we appear to be making it through. Once we take out this swing high, then from 2840 up to 2869, that's a pretty nice window of opportunity. What does that look like on a 5-minute? We're already above the BBC on the 5-minute. There's that swing high we saw on the 30-minute. We scrunch it up a little bit. We got nothing to the left here in recent history. So we'll call it 2840. In fact, number 3504. 3,504 alerts over the last 88 weeks since we launched Logic 247, and we had I think a 3-week beta test before we launched. So ES M20. We want to be long 2840. Initial target 2842. Next target 2850. And the weekly trading zone overhead 2869 slash 2870. Now we just have to sit back and let the market do the heavy lifting. So copy that, put it into the trial channel. Now when we see the S&P giving us a opportunity, we can jump right over to the Dow and most likely see a similar opportunity. We had an alert on the Dow earlier to be long 23,820. The swing high on that was 52, so that was a 32-point move, and then a retracement. Now, I wonder if that pullback found support for any kind of a good reason. It didn't pull all the way back. We had our pullback to the BBC here. We triggered. We pulled back to the step line. Now we're trudging higher. Okay. Swing high so far, 864. What does this look like on a 5-minute? On 5-minute, we're above the BBC. We've got blue and climbing. So we want to get long. There's a window of opportunity between these two swing highs. Okay. Swing high there. Swing high there. And if we can get above that swing high, then there's another window up to the zone. Now, if this is a strong momentum push, this might not need to be two separate trades, because even though this represents potential resistance on a strong up momentum move, this could just run right through it and turn two windows into one. So we've looked at the S&P. Let's go back to the 30-minute on the Dow. We've already looked at the NQ. The Concierge Trade Alert last night for the Dow was 234.55. 234.55. Okay. So the initial move up to the weekly zone overhead from 55 to 525, that's a 65-point move at $5 a point. We get through the zone, we take out the previous swing high just like we did on the ES, make a nice run. We pull back to the BBC where we find good support. But we don't want to go long into a brick wall. So if we're patient, this candle that closes above red and falling, next candle opens, starts printing green. Here we go. Okay. And then price always reverts to the mean. And off we go again. Question this time. Now price is going to attempt, it is attempting to go up and challenge this swing high. If it can overcome it. Now that swing high we anticipated it. Why? Well, because that area was resistance before. So you continue to expect it to be resistance until it isn't. It was here, it was here, it was here, it was here. Question is it going to be resistance here, or will we get through it this time? So from last night's alert at 23455, Alexa, 23,900 minus 23,455.
23,900 minus 23,455 is 445.
Alexa, 445 times 5.
445 times 5 is 2,225.
2,225. per contract traded. Now that's what the market made available. Remember, we can give you the alert, we can give you targets along the way. The indicators can print an exit signal. That's what we can do. That's what you can do. But the market has to do the heavy lifting. The market has to provide the move. And since we can't know the future, no one can, it doesn't matter what the website says, or the clever email, God did not give man the ability to know the future. Not with certainty, but he did give us a brain. We can know with certainty what the next high probability move is. Doesn't mean that's always what's going to happen, but a definable edge is simply the probability of one thing happening over another. Well, we're going to find out. So we did the S&P, did the NQ, next zone overhead for the NQ is 88.26. And today's only Tuesday. And notice as we got to the zone, only 3 things happen at a weekly trading zone. The most common thing is consolidation. The second most likely thing is rejection. The least likely, but it does happen, is the slice. Price slices right through a zone like it's not even there. In this case, it failed to be the good resistance we were looking for. So now we want to know, well, will you be good support? So this pullback shows us that yes, yes, yes. And that NQ move we've already looked at. One alert, one contract, provided the opportunity to pay for a lifetime passport and still have money for a really nice dinner and maybe a weekend somewhere once you can travel, once you're free to move about the country again. Okay? All right. So on the logic alerts, I already showed you the recap. Let me just show you what the trades look like since Sunday night. Last week, week 88, 50 alerts, 11 never triggered, 39 actionable, 6 were stopped out, that's 15%. Here we are at week 89, S&P, Dow, Crude, Gold, NQ, another NQ, another NQ, S&P, Russell, Crude, and here's the ones we're still waiting on. Here's a stop out on the Dow, stop out on the NQ, S&P, and these were just waiting to be recapped. I just put those out right before the show started. So I talked about this last week. I wrote about it. While many people are faced with losing their job because of this pandemic, because of this virus, some have been able to transition to working from home. Unfortunately, not every job. I mean, if you work the front line, if you work the register in a retail environment, or if you stock the shelves in a retail environment, or if you manage a retail location that hasn't been open, it's kind of hard to do those jobs from home. Trading is one business that, because it's electronic, translates well to working from home So not only have traders found themselves gainfully employed through this pandemic, some are actually seeing opportunities better than they've ever seen before. And I think this is going to continue. In fact, at some point, things are going to calm down. There'll be a point in the future where you won't be able, not every day, to put on a trade with one contract, go long the NQ, pay for a passport. We're in an environment right now where that can happen. I show you examples of it every day here while I'm doing the recap. So if you think you want to learn how to trade, if you think you want to trade for a living, we cover this every day. 9 out of 10 traders fail simply because they don't have a teacher. Buying a set of indicators and a PDF off the internet, or even being part of a trade calling room, that's not the same as finding a teacher who will teach you how to trade. It's two entirely different things. In the morning in the live training room, when Michael is teaching you our core methodology, the setup, everything we do is built on that core methodology. I know that many on the trial, and as you first become a partner, you want to piggyback on his trades, trade what he trades, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. In fact, I encourage you to follow along in SEM. But what's really important is not being able to match him step for step, but to understand, listen to him so that you understand what he's doing and why he's doing it. Just as when I post an alert, rushing out and trading it and having a profitable trade, well, that's a wonderful thing. But if you don't understand why it was an alert, you've done a great disservice to yourself. So this is an opportunity to not only participate in some incredibly fantastic trading opportunities, so much more important is it's also an opportunity to learn how to do this yourself, so that you're not dependent on some guru or some trade calling room or anything else. You develop the ability to look at a chart and know instinctively what the next high probability move is. The chart will gladly share that information with you. You just need to learn the language, understand what the chart is telling you. You need to know what a high probability trade setup looks like, and then you need to know how to take action. Well, why is it a setup? We teach you. Where should I enter? We teach you. Where should I take profit? We teach you. Okay? So again, just buying indicators in a PDF off the internet, well, that's just why 9 out of 10 traders fail. I'll leave it at that. Without a teacher, it's a high probability you're going to be the 9 out of 10. If you want to become the 1 out of 10, the best way I know to do that is to find a teacher. Doesn't have to be us, but find someone who's actually going to spend time teaching you. And the laborer is worthy of his wages, so yes, if that person is teaching you something of value, you will pay them. There will be an exchange of treasure for their time. But at the end of the day, if you're now able to trade on your own without anybody else's help, how valuable is that? You have to decide. That's why we give everybody a 1-week free trial, no credit card required. Come see what we do, see how we do it, trade our alerts in SIM, all of that. And then at the end of the week, you're able to make a well-informed, intelligent decision whether or not what we do is right for you. And it may not be. So, if you have the desire to trade for a living, here's your opportunity to spend 5 days finding out if what we do is going to work for you. Now, the live training room in the morning is a very fast-paced environment, and your head might be spinning. Oh, I don't think I can keep up with all this. Okay, that's like basic training. Okay, Michael's looking at 4 or 5 markets at the same time. He's highlighting the opportunities at each market. We trade every market exactly the same. S&P, Dow, Russell, NQ, Gold, Crude. We use the same setup, same indicators, same everything. Some people will tell you that's not possible. Well, I don't know what to say, because I just showed you it is possible. Every day we come on the show, we recap everything we've done over the past 24 hours. Day after day after day, we show you it's possible. Some people still say, well, that's not possible. Well, I don't know. Argue with the chart. Emini Trading School.com. That's where you go to sign up for the trial. And if you're already on the trial, please don't waste your precious time. Make sure you're fully connecting. Make sure you're watching the alert channel. Make sure you're participating in the discussion group. When somebody posts something, when one of our traders posts something in the discussion group, or I post something in there, if you don't understand it, ask. Nobody's going to think less of you. Nobody's going to judge you. We're all on the same team. It's not a battle of the egos in our discussion group. Everybody's welcome, and everybody in there will always do whatever they can to lend a helping hand. Because I can't be there all the time, or Michael or Valerie, but we have other very capable and successful traders who can answer your question, because we're all using the same methodology, the same strategy, same weekly trading zones, same indicators. Trading is not easy, but we've spent 15 years doing our very best to make it simple for you. Let's go to our good word for the day. Yesterday we talked about the enemy wants to stop whatever good thing you're trying to do. That's his job. You know, we watched on Sunday, we watched The Passion of the Christ on Prime. I've seen it several times. In fact, when it first came out, we got a license from, I think it was Sony or Paramount. We had a license to do an outdoor showing in our church parking lot. We had like a big drive-in movie theater screen. It was an awesome time. But anyway, sure most people in this audience have seen it before. But we watched it with our kids. Our kids had never seen The Passion. Gabe's 17, Emily's 12. And it had a real impact on them. So if you have kids or grandkids and they've never seen The Passion, it's pretty brutal. So, you know, check the ages, because there's a lot of graphic violence. But it served as a reminder to me what Christ endured for us. Zechariah 3:1. There was Satan standing at Joshua's right side, ready to accuse him. Sometimes the enemy's attacks are obvious. In the Old Testament, the prophet Zechariah writes, "He showed me Joshua the high priest standing before the angel of the Lord, and Satan standing at his right hand to oppose him. Satan usually prefers to work incognito, so frequently he will attack you through people, especially those closest to you. But the Bible tells us in John 13:2, the evening meal was in progress, and the enemy had already prompted Judas to betray Jesus. So what's your best line of defense? The living Word of God. Exposed to a greater level of temptation than any of us will ever face, Jesus quoted the scriptures to Satan 3 times and put him to flight. When Satan attacks your mind with temptation, condemnation, doubts, feelings of inadequacy, God's word is a shield the enemy cannot penetrate. David said in Psalm 119, "If your law had not been my delight, I would have perished." Notice what happened when Jesus finished doing battle with the enemy. Matthew 4:11 says, "The devil went away, and angels came and took care of Jesus." So whatever you're going through, you're not alone. God has placed a cordon of angels around you to sustain and protect you. And angels are only servants, spirits sent to care for people who will inherit salvation. That's Hebrews 1:14. During seasons of adversity, remember, you're a champion, not a chump, not a victim. Invest your words and energies into creating new goals and new dreams. Stay awake, stay alert, be aware, be productive, and stay focused. Exude faith and expect your faith to be supernaturally honored by the God who promised to intervene when you need him the most. That's Isaiah 59:19, and that's our good word for the day. Thanks so much for tuning in. Whoever you are, wherever you are, may God continue to richly bless you with his mercy and with his grace. And I'll see you at the bell.
Remember this, there is no greater return on investment than to see a human life changed and given hope. As always, pray hard and trade safe. Any financial information discussed on this show is simply the opinion of our host, Dwayne Reeves, his co-hosts, and guests. To learn more about trading Emini Futures or to take a 1-week free trial in our live trading room, call 1-866-928-3310. 866-928-3310. Information discussed on this radio program should not be construed as a recommendation to buy or sell any security. Always do your own due diligence and consult with a licensed securities broker or financial planner before making any investment decision.